Felicitous greetings, fellow fanatics. Welcome back, one all. I'm Adam the Fanatic, and today we're taking a look at Brass Empire, a steampunk-themed deck-building game by Rock Manor Games. Please do bear in mind that this is the 2nd edition printing. Although very similar to 1st edition, there have been some minor changes. Without any further ado, let's dive in! In Brass Empire, 2 to 5 players will take on the role of corporations competing to gather the most brass by hiring employees, constructing buildings, deploying units, and even battling against one another. To set up, you'll need to separate the market into the 100-card labor pool deck, which will consist entirely of employees, and the 90-card design department deck, which consists of buildings and units. Shuffle each of these decks individually, and then deal out 2 market rows with 6 cards from each deck. Pour a pool of brass tokens depending on the number of players. For example, for a 4-player game, prepare 60 brass. Small tokens are 1s, while large tokens are 5s. Make sure that the d6s are within easy reach of all players. After that, each player will need a 10-card starter deck consisting of 7 clerks and 3 union workers. You'll also need a mining platform, which should begin face up. Each player will also need to choose a 6-card reserve that represents which corporation they're playing as. Although you'll be able to purchase cards from the market row belonging to any faction, only you can purchase the cards in your respective reserve deck. Each player should shuffle their starter deck and draw 5 cards. And with that, you're ready to begin. Turn structure in Brass Empire is quite simple. Firstly, you'll finish any buildings that are under construction. This obviously won't be a concern on your first few turns, but once it happens, simply flip any face-down buildings you have so that they're now face up. The second phase of each turn allows you to play cards. There are 3 types of cards. Employees are played for their effect and will go into your discard pile at the end of your turn. Units are played face up. They can't use actions on the turn that you play them, but any mobilize effects will happen immediately when they're played. Units will remain in play until something destroys them, at which point they'll return to your discard pile. Buildings are played face down, but any that are already face up can be used at this time. As with units, buildings will remain out until they're destroyed, although some will have demolish effects which will allow you to destroy your own buildings to give yourself a bonus. During the play phase, you'll also be purchasing cards from the market. There are 2 primary resources in Brass Empire: labor, represented by hammers, and construction, represented by gears. You can purchase any number of employees, units, and buildings from the market or from your reserve so long as you can afford them. If you purchase a card from the market, replace it immediately with another card from the same deck. If you can afford the new card that comes out, you're free to purchase that one immediately as well. Whenever you acquire a card, whether through purchasing it or another means, place it into your discard pile. Additionally, if your mining platform is destroyed, you may pay 1 construction to instantly rebuild it. Unlike other buildings, this will immediately flip and can be used on that turn. If you have any leftover construction or are unwilling or unable to buy cards, then an active mining platform can mine 1 brass for 2 construction as many times as you'd like. The third phase is the action phase. At this time, you'll decide what each of your units does. Firstly, notice that all buildings and units have both an attack value and a health value. Although buildings will never initiate attacks, some of them will be able to defend themselves. For each unit you control that was not mobilized this turn, you may take 1 action. Some units will also have a special action listed on them, but all units are capable of attacking or mining. In order to attack, choose an enemy's unit or building as your target. Both cards will deal their attack as damage to one another, which can result in mutual destruction. If a unit or building is damaged but not destroyed, use a d6 to keep track of how much health it has remaining. Health does not regenerate. If you destroy a unit or building this way, it will go into its owner's discard pile and you'll collect a number of brass tokens equal to the card's brass value. If it has no brass value, simply take 1 brass. Meanwhile, if your mining platform is active, you can have a unit mine. When it does this, simply take a number of brass tokens equal to its attack value from the pool. Finally, in the end phase, you'll discard all employees that you played on your turn and any cards that might still be in your hand. Then, draw back up to 5 cards. If you can't, then draw as many as you can, then reshuffle your discard pile to use it as your deck once more and draw the missing cards. Play then passes to the next player and will continue like this until the brass pool is depleted. After the last brass token is taken from the pool, the current round will finish up so that all players have the same number of turns. Bear in mind that you may still take brass tokens from the box as needed to count up your score, but the game will end once the last player ends their turn. At that point, count up your total brass value. This includes not only the tokens that you claimed, but also the brass value of every card you own at the end of the game. Whoever has the highest total score is the winner. Before going over alternate game modes and components, let's take a brief look at each faction. Going in alphabetical order, Frontier Rail is perhaps the most direct faction, as they simply focus on increasing the amount of brass tokens that you'll claim. Harlem Electric Works is the most confrontational faction, as they have ways to interfere with your opponent's hand, as well as ways to deal damage without having to attack with units. McLean Clockwork specializes in drawing extra cards. Weaker cards may require you to discard in order to do so, but some of the more expensive ones allow you to simply draw 2 or 3 extra cards. Omna Ado Corporation has cards that let you dismiss other cards. This allows you to permanently remove weaker cards so that you can draw more expensive ones more often. And finally, Windcraft Electric Enterprises simply focuses on providing extra construction points. The game also provides a handful of alternative game modes, including team play, battle mode, and rule changes to make it play more like First Edition. There's also a solo mode which I did explore briefly, but honestly it's not very interesting. The dummy player doesn't have a deck of their own. They just automatically acquire cards and gain their value at the end of the game. It's honestly a pretty weak solo mode, as it doesn't even involve any deck building on the AI's part. On to component quality, the first thing to talk about is, of course, the cards themselves. They're standard thickness and have a protective coating, while the art is interesting. Honestly, it's not to my taste, it feels a little bit too stylized for me. But if you enjoy Impressionism, you'll probably appreciate it a lot more than I do. On to the tokens, they're simple round chips and do the job of representing brass quite nicely. The D6s are about as standard as you can get. There's really nothing to say about them. Finally, the box includes an organizer with plenty of extra room and baggies. I don't know if they're working on a second issue of the new Canton expansion or not, but if they are, there's plenty of extra room in the box to hold it all. All in all, Brass Empire is a fine game, but it doesn't really do anything to stand out from the crowd. Everything it's done has already pretty much been done before. Color-coded factions that each have their own specialization? Been there. A unique pool of cards that only you can buy from? Seen it. And structures that remain out between turns but can be attacked by your opponents? Done that. I enjoyed what I played, but if you're like myself and already have other deck builders in your collection, it's a lot harder to recommend. I do stress that it is not a bad game. However, even when it first released in 2016, everything it did had pretty much already been done before. Regardless, I did enjoy what I played, and find Brass Empire to be worthy of a solid 7.4 out of 10. If you're interested in purchasing Brass Empire, my first suggestion as always is to check with your friendly local game store to see if they keep it in stock. That being said, I do have an affiliate link and coupon code. If you go to Rock Manor Games website and use the code Fanatic, you'll not only get 10% off of your order, but you'll also be helping to fund this channel as well. As always, links are included in the description. But what about you? What do you think of Brass Empire? What steampunk-themed games do you enjoy? If you have any questions, remarks, or opposing points of view, leave them in the comments down below. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. And if you really enjoy my work, please consider funding my channel on Patreon. Until next time, farewell, fellow fanatics. Thank you again for watching. I have plenty more to share with you if you're interested. You can click up here above my head to subscribe to my channel. You can click over here on my monitor to see the most recent video that I've worked on. Or if you prefer, you can click up here to open this mysterious vault and see what video that the YouTube algorithm has picked just for you.